This is 22nd episode of Revrak podcast, and I have with me Vinayak, who is a director of product management at INDmoney. And I'm super excited because INDmoney is an application even I use for a lot of investing and even checking my net worth and multiple other use cases that I have. So I'm super excited to be talking to Vinayak and digging into like how end money and Vinayak envisaging how AI can be implemented in BFSI, fintech overall. And we'll ask some uncomfortable questions as well to Vinayak and let's see how he reacts. So looking forward, Vinayak, you started as an intern at IndMoney and then became an analyst, and from there to a director of product. You have done the journey overall, right? So would love to know how has been your journey and a brief about you joined as an intern and then ended up being a director and most probably going up the ladder.
Yeah. First of all, thanks for having me, Ashutosh. Right.
No, no.
As you rightly pointed out, I joined as an intern. So the story goes back 6 years back in 2019. I was doing my undergrad from Delhi University. I was into stock markets, as a young 17, 18-year-old guy, trying to figure out money, right? And somehow landed an internship at INDmoney, seeing the team's credentials, right? And the founder's pedigree, right? So that excited me. And when I landed, it was a 2 month stint in 2019, right?
Right.
And the vibe was completely different, the startup culture, right? And it got a hook of me, right? And I was also thinking what to do in long term, and I started personally I wanted to start up on my own at that time, right? But there was a gap of knowledge, right? As a college student, you did not understand, you felt overwhelmed, right? How to do that and all of that, right? And then I discovered product management, and honestly, it acts as a stepping stone, right? If you want to start up on your own in the near future, maybe 5 years, 10 years, whenever you want to do it, right? So came back full time in 2020, right? We were very early back then, right? As you said, we were known for tracking your net worth, and we started expanding our product suite. So I built the mutual funds product here, which was our first investment product from scratch, from roughly 2020 to late 2022. Along the lines, we launched US stocks, FTs, whole basically investment suite, as well as tracking tools, right? That got us a lot of scale, right? In 2023, we entered the Indian broking market, right? Uh, and then I shifted to this team, and since then have been basically leading the growth side of it. Of course, we can go deeper, but a lot of products that we built here. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think amazing journey and a lot of people who might be listening to this podcast, you are kind of an inspiration. So people, what they think is that if they switch companies, they can increase their,
Yeah.
I think, salaries, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
but you can't compound if you have not seen the journey from start till wherever you are, right? So compounding only happens when you double down on things, I think.
100%. I mean, you see the entire life cycle, right? Or how, like, you grow from, let's say, 10, 15 team size to 100, 150, even the users, right? So, what works at different stages, basically.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and really excited to be asking you multiple questions. So the first question that I have for you, Vinayak, and I would like to know your angle overall, right?
Yes.
It is
Yeah.
majorly related to like revenue impact. So where do you think AI can create biggest differences in revenue journey, right? Uh, what do you think AI can be implemented? If you can like give some examples as well, which you have done or you have implemented in IND money.
Sure. So there are two sides of it. Of course, there's revenue as well as cost, right? Cost,
Right.
all of us understand, right? The teams are gonna be leaner, maybe 10x times leaner, right? The teams which can ship fast, right, with AI are gonna get the most revenue outcomes as well, right? Because see, revenue is directly tied to how fast you ship. The environment, especially the BFSI fintech, is very, very competitive, right? And
Right.
with post COVID, you would have seen a lot of retail participation, as we see in the market, right? So speed matters a lot for teams, right, to ship fast, right? As when you talk about revenue and things that we've shipped, right? So the problems that we've identified is, so when we talk about retail people, like, we usually cater to our retail investors and traders, right? So the gap has always been information, right? The smart money has always had information, right? And so a, access to information, and b, how do you, analyze and make sense of it, right? So what we've done for our users is basically, allowing them to get information, grasping information pretty fast. For example, let's say there are 10 stocks that you hold in your portfolio, right? What are the relevant things that actually truly matter? There's a whole noise in the ecosystem right now, right? And how do you make sense of it, right? So we've done things on app, of course, that helps you analyze, your portfolios across different, even that you track, maybe you have invested outside, of INDmoney or on INDmoney, right? We've also launched our, we've seen this behavior, people going to the Claudes and the GPTs of the world, right? So we've also extended the MCP server recently, right, which holds your US stocks holdings, Indian stocks, everything that you have on INDmoney,
Right.
to analyze the whatever you want to do, basically. So if you see in the US or global markets, even when it comes to trading, people are now getting very much comfortable for with automation, so I think the revenue impact is going to be the pipes, right? So as fintech players, right, just to sum it down into one simple line, the pipes that you build so that your users are able to access your infra, right? So the software layer, maybe no, the UI UX is, right? So your pipes have to be extremely strong, right? By pipes, if we were to give an example, users being able to access your data, right, in a secure and in a fast manner, right? So the closer you build your infrastructure for them to use AI on top of it, I think there's where the highest revenue opportunity arises.
Right.
Yeah.
If this was basically you touched upon for the existing user for
Yes.
of IND money, right?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
about new user coming from a funnel, right? For the conversion uplift, or let's say
Yeah.
if conversion uplift is there, then probably more revenue will be hitting
100%.
hitting to IND money, right?
Hundred
And
percent. Yeah.
let's say drop off reduction, any proactive nudges that you planned for
Yes.
better conversion in the onboarding funnel, anything around that piece as well for
Sure.
new
Sure. Sure.
customers, how you are planning or how you
Sure,
have.
sure, sure, sure. I'll start from the very top, right? So, AI is impacting everything right now, right?
Yeah.
The very top is your, let's say, a performance marketing or a brand image that is there, right? So, if you talk to performance marketing folks right now, right, every good, tech startup is automating it, right? They're churning, they're capturing the intent much fast, right? For example, there's a recent gold and silver rush, or the commodities are on a rush. Your AI systems will automate and capture those impressions, right? And
Yes.
once you come on the app, right, of course, now there are two types of folks, right? Let's say you would have exposure to capital markets outside of IND somewhere, or you're completely new, right? You come to our app, right? And then we see, okay, what all information have you shared with us, right? And then on the magic, basically, so let's say we have now the problem is like with the Super Money app, we have US stocks, Indian stocks, mutual funds, right? So we are able to give a personalized journey. Like every single user has a different journey, right? And that is what AI has enabled us to do, right? So let's say 10 investment products. Okay, this is what we think is a good startup act for you, right? So all of those optimizations we've done, right? For example, someone who's coming who saw a trading ad, right? Something like, let's say, an intraday ad, right? Of course, we're not going to say him, you start with mutual funds and all of that, right?
Right.
So it starts at the top, right? And very till the end, right? Till the core LOB, or the investment product you talk about, right? Personalization is, it starts from the top and is right now being handled till the very bottom. And of course, AI is being able to leverage that.
Awesome, awesome.
Yeah.
No, this was wonderful actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to sum it up, what I have
Yeah.
understood is that
Yeah.
AI is being implemented from the marketing funnel till the
Yes.
onboarding funnel and beyond,
Correct. Correct.
beyond as well. And it is not just about revenue; it is also about cost, right? And
100%.
how you are able to like make a balance of it and approach in that way. I think that is where you're suggesting, right?
Yes.
So
Yes. Yeah.
as you also mentioned that every new user or every user that is entering from inside the funnel or inside the app is actually getting a personalized experience for them, right? And this basically because we have much more data, and now with that data you can basically personalize as well through AI, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So if you can also talk about how do you see like AI changing the way companies overall, like BFSI companies, fintechs, insurtechs, interact with users at scale. And you can actually talk about if something that you have implemented, some pilots that you have done, uh, and like how do you see that personalization at scale can be done uh, uh, in
Sure,
fintech.
sure, 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 sure. So, I'll just give some context, right? So, let's say a couple of years back, AI arrived, let's say in 2022, 2023, right? So, there was a wave of chatbots that coming in, right? So that was the standard product, right? Everyone tried their hands on, right? So, we also have our AI chatbot, which is called Mind, right? So, we tried to solve the problem for traders, right? So, the problem for traders was, again, speed, edge, what they gain edge with speed, right? And let's say there's a chart, right? All of us know there's a, let's say, Nifty ka chart. If I spend 5 minutes or 10 minutes to analyze it, to make sense of it, right? Probably
You're
the
talking about
opportunity is lost.
the candle chart.
Candles, right? See, these traders, right? Even, let's say, investors, they require sophisticated information, right? The core insight was, until I make sense of it, oh, something's happened in the market, right? So, I think, again, just reiterating, the markets are gonna be, you would not see inefficiencies last along, right? So, let's say 10 years back, there would be inefficiencies in a market for a longer period, right? Right now, people are able to capture it pretty fast, right? And so now retail people are also there, right? My take is slightly radical. Like, in, let's say, next 4 5 years, I don't see, people interacting with different UIs a lot, right? Maybe, let's say, uh, there's a local LLM sitting on your mobile device, right, running on your mobile memory itself, right? That is where I think things are heading, because in the last 1 or 2 years, honestly, now the general public also accepts, let's say 5 years back, the trust into tech and automation, they would, again, take it with a pinch of salt. But now everyone is, even your grandma or the moms or the previous generation is on GPTs, right? Asking it. The trust is there, right? So I think personalization is going to sit on your device, right? So the companies that are, again, able to, build their pipes and infrastructure for that are going to win.
Makes sense. So you are saying that edge computing is not that far
Yeah.
overall,
Yes.
and LLMs are going to be hosted inside the mobile. I think even I have like Google actually open source Gemma
Yeah.
3,
Yes,
and
exactly. Yeah.
right, and it can actually be installed in your laptop or a mobile device.
Correct, correct.
Uh,
Even you see the rush after the new MacBook, the mini MacBook, right? People, like, I have, let's say, I'll just tell you a quick story, right? So, let's say, 4 years back, I was trying to automate a trading strategy, right? And I didn't know how
right.
to code, right? Of course, and I was still early in my career. I had to run after my friend for 3 weeks, Yeah, please, a developer friend, please code it for me, please code it for me, right? And 6 months back, I just started, with Claude. I did it on my own. Now I have, 10, 12 strategies running on my own, right? So, it's in my personal laptop. Everything's running on my local system, basically.
No, no, absolutely. I think you're right that there will be edge computing that is coming.
Yes.
So when edge computing, let's say, I just want to double tap on
Sure.
that. So let's say if edge computing is coming, if there is an LLM that is there, so do you think the apps are going to become agents, and how do you think that the UI for AI will be seen, right? How
Yes.
actually you can very well contextually personalize overall. Any
I think
examples?
the UIs are gonna be on demand. If you talk about, basically, on demand as well as evolving. So, let's say if I have an LLM inside my phone, right? Of course, bang on that. Let's say there's a food delivering app who's gonna act as an agent. There's my stock broking app, right? Or, let's say, there's my investment app, or my insurance app or anything. Those are gonna act as agents, because, and these will, again, you'll see UIs which, mixed two or three of this. Right now, the biggest problem is there are two different apps. There's no single thing to, make sense of it, right? So I think, 100%, my sense is, these UIs are going to be on demand and dynamic, basically.
Makes sense. Cool. No, no, I totally agree to it. So we also don't know what is going to happen, but yeah,
Yeah.
we can for sure predict
But things are
that things
happening
are
very, very
really.
fast, changing very fast.
Yeah, I spend my day every day thinking how actually UI is going to look like, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
but yeah, interesting days. So I have another question for you. Is that
Yeah,
uh, so there is realism and then superficial AI as well, because we know that AI, it's not a silver bullet overall, right? So
correct.
you
Yeah,
cannot do everything with AI, but yeah, it is a very interesting technology, and how
yes,
can you implement it is basically how you will be able to drive outcomes. So the question is that what actually separates AI products that actually improve business outcome from tools that just automate basic tasks.
yes.
Basically,
Yeah, I think the core and crux of it is data, right? How do you feed data sets to it, right? So if you would go to a normal open LLM, right, and ask anything, a lot of times, it'll be choppy without context, right? So the biggest in any scalable system, if you're building any model, so let's say if I have to solve a screener, right? So let's say there have been traditional screening tools to finding stocks or something, right? The right context, the right data structures, right? The types of users who are using it, right? So context in terms of data, your users, right? What are the tools like, right? So it has to be very deeply engineered, right? So people just think it's magic, right? But behind the back, for the use case, a lot of things have to be engineered, right? So I think data sets, how do you feed, how do you maintain the context of the problem that you're trying to solve is, uh, is going to be the difference, because at the surface of it everything looks so good, right? You ask anything, most of the time AIs will agree with you, they'll feed you something. If you double check, something breaks, right? So I think the contextualization in any sense for data or the user cohort is very important.
right. No, no, I think you're right. So, from the angle of tooling versus overall, because see, earlier there were chatbots that were there, right? Now there
Yes,
are agents that are there. And overall, if you see, if agents don't have overall data set, that is that data set or basically information to act on, right? They will not be able to fine tune overall, right?
correct,
And
correct. Yeah,
self improve overall. So I
yes,
think, yeah, from that aspect we can agree that overall thought process has to be changed, and if you are looking for outcome, probably you have to think it from the perspective of I always try to attach revenue or cost to any experiment, right? So
yes,
that it's much easier for any pilot or POC to be
yeah,
to be basically done, right? So if we, as you were an analyst earlier, and you might already be having a insight lens to all of the problems that you solve, right? So what do you think most BFSI players are still underutilizing when it comes to AI? And is behavioral versus journey data overall different? How do you structure your data? Because now you have a lot of information uh, that a user is coming inside, and there is a lot that you can do. So let's say we feed mixed panel data,
yes,
let's say we feed some other data, and take a look at, okay, what are my cohorts overall
yeah,
looking like, right? So you have a lot
correct,
more
correct.
data to make sense. So any uh, thoughts on that?
100%. I mean, perfectly right. So there are different type of data sets, of course, to start with. Let's say uh, your user data or your journey. How do you tailor the experience or get better business outcomes, right? So I think the top tech, any BFSI company who is embracing tech, who has a good tech team, are doing it right now, right? Uh, the friends I have, right, or even at INDmoney, right, we have everything of this plugged, right? As you said, mixed panel, your databases, right, your design systems, right? I think smart companies are really fast to adapt to it, right? What I Yeah, so of course, let's say that if there are 100 companies, and I understand, public companies, bigger companies, they're slightly late adopter, right? Because of course, when it comes to BFSI, uh, the regulatory aspect is very important, right? So probably this industry is not going to be an early adopter of any new tech, right? So with obvious for obvious reasons, right? The gap I personally see is as a investor or a trader is a lot of companies are not trying to make sense of the global data or the markets data that is out there, right? Which basically truly solves the pain points. Let's say there's an investor, right? So there are still information asymmetries, right? The institutional grade data which is out for smart money is still not happening for retail traders, right? Because probably the companies or the corporates have not, seen revenue outcomes yet on it, right? So because in all honesty, let's say, how does a most fintech people earn our, let's say, brokerage, or when it comes to investment and trading, right? Or subscription services, or on lending or insurance commissions, right? So I think that has not been able to directly attribute to revenue outcomes. But when it comes to global, so let's say for a lending app, let's say, or for an insurance app, it's still tough for a user to basically go and understand what insurance is, right? And for an investor, for a new investor, it's still very tough for a new investor. Let's say a college kid out with no background, it's still very tough for him to understand how do I make my first investment. Similarly for traders, right? This gap is still there basically. Of course, there are AI tools outside of these apps, but I don't see a lot of players genuinely stepping in and trying to democratize that yet. Yeah.
Right. So basically, you're saying that education is a very important piece
Yes.
for any
Yeah.
user, and
Yeah.
so help me understand here that so fintech should understand which is the user they
Correct.
need to educate.
Yes.
Is that the thing
Yes,
that you're?
I think more than the user as a platform, I would know better for him, right? So because, so let's say I have certain data sets, so it acts as my, if I want to, catch him for the long time, right? If he wants to stick it with me, I have to, I have to democratize stuff for him, right? So I think focusing on education, as well as, let's say, there's financial education or any other aspect of it, right? So not directly business outcomes, because the LTV is going to be much more higher if I truly solve pain points for him, right? So this is what we've tried to done in the previous part also. Like if you see, INDmoney is probably the most data rich app that you have, right? We try to give you insights as much as possible, right? So like one of the products that we built earlier on was, switching your regular mutual funds to direct mutual funds. Like regular mutual funds are where there's some additional commission or an agent involved, right? So a shocking part was 95% of the people didn't even know that, right? There's this extra commission and you can save on it, and it compounds in the long run, right? So when you do something like that for the user, right, which says, oh, you saved me money, right? Then is when he sticks with you, he's gonna be with you for the long run, right? So just play the long run game, truly solve what the people are facing problem, what he or she is facing right now, right?
Absolutely. I think amazingly put. So basically, I'll just conclude it so that listeners are able to understand. So basically, what we are trying to talk here is that there is a lot of data sets that are already present, and we should try to help the user from education perspective, from learning perspective, and even
Correct.
from the perspective of what is right or wrong for them, put it
Correct.
out there so that they can take help from all of that data. As you rightly said that yes, ind money is data rich, and it always helps their user to basically understand uh, how to drive their financial health, I think, right? So and this is so you're saying that all of these underlying data sets are being underutilized by BFSI, and there is a lot of data that is already there, so you can club it together to basically give a data rich experience overall, right? Uh, I think, yeah, absolutely rightly put, Vinayak. Thanks for that. Uh, so basically, as we know that it's just like we are just scratching the surface with in terms of AI, right? There is every day something new is coming. Every day something massive changes are coming, right? Some companies are getting shut because Anthropic releases something, right?
Yeah.
There is uh, uh, massive changes, right? Uh, but if let's say, what's the one big shift you think will happen in BFSI because of AI, and that most people still aren't paying attention to? Anything specific that you want to highlight?
Yes, I think a lot of middleware will be surely out, right? So we've seen this traditionally. This industry works on a lot of middleware, right? Like there's an advisor, right? There's an agent to it. Right now, you have a technical version of that agent, in the form of an LLM, right? So scary, but yes, the those human part of it will get eliminated to a very very large extent, which no other tech has been able to do. Until now, if you see, the tech was digitizing workflows, right? You would place a order, let's say a investment order, by calling the broker, right? Now it's on your phone, right? But the advisory systems, the agent still existed, right? There was a human at the end of it. So now it's gonna be tata bye bye for most of those folks, right?
Right. No,
I
absolutely.
might be naive in saying
I
it,
am
right?
seeing it already happening. Right.
Yes, but all those LIC agents, right, used to exist. I think the companies need to understand that fast, right? That change is happening. And it's multiple forces, right? People are now trusting these systems. 10 years back, 5 years back, people would not trust tech, right? The older generation would still need someone to handle on. The next generation, the two generations below it, right? Everyone's gonna be, doing stuff on their own, right? So those middlewares will be out, right? And again, reiterating on my previous point, any kind of, because there are, let's say, regulations involved to it, right? So it's not easy to, as you've said, Anthropic killing startups. Anthropic probably cannot kill a bank, right? Cannot kill a broker because there are licenses to it, right? So you are safeguarded by virtue of regulation there, right? So all these companies now need to see, okay, how can we supplement and exist in this new world, right? So again, my sense is it's going to be, a very strong infra when it comes to and distribution via LLMs also, right? So to be present there. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think amazing answers overall. So basically, there is a lot of fat between the end user to the main distributor or the
100%.
manufacturer,
Yeah.
right? And and that fat might go away
Yes.
because there can be direct access from the end user perspective to the
Yeah.
manufacturer or the main infra uh, of BFSI, right?
Yeah.
Direct
Yeah.
payments, direct insurers, so on and so forth, right? So I think,
Yes.
uh, uh, and that is because the intelligence is now available uh, on a click or just on a tap, right? So I think that's for sure is going to happen. The fat is going to be removed. You rightly put, rightly. So we are moving to the last section of ours, which is a rapid fire, right? So right. So I'll ask you a question, and you have to like just give me one word or one statement to it, right? So we'll keep it quick. So one AI metric that has improved for most BFSI overall, what do you think would be? Is it conversion, retention, or resolution?
I think resolution, 100% resolution. That's a trend we've seen.
Absolutely. Personalization versus privacy. What breaks first at scale?
Privacy matters a lot, when it comes to anything money. I will always prefer privacy there. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Biggest drop off point in fintech journey that AI can fix today?
KYC's onboardings in general, yeah, very complex across.
Very nice. Chatbot, voice bots, or AI agent. Which one actually drives revenue?
Agents for sure. Chatbots, I think, are old now.
Proactive AI versus reactive AI. What wins in the next 3 years and any example?
I think proactive for sure, right? Reactive has been. I think these models are themselves now becoming proactive, right? Uh, if you go, you use Claude, right? They have given easy accesses like skills. You can create skills, right? So as a normal person is able to create those skills, right? So I think proactive AI for sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Vinayak. It was lovely having you, and it was an amazing conversation. I think the way that you have put that data is the moat overall, and if you have data, you can club it together. You have to see where you can use it in order to give personalization, have contextual relevance for your user, even go and touch base on that how this underutilized data sets can be better delivered to have better experience from AI perspective. I think amazingly put. Thank you so much, Vinayak, again. If our listeners want to reach out to you, how probably they can?
I'm there on LinkedIn. Yeah, you can probably reach out to me on LinkedIn. It's the most scalable way. Yeah.
Awesome. Right. So you can ping Vinayak for any questions if you had in the podcast. We'll put a link of Vinayak's profile in the show notes. Thank you so much again, Vinayak, and folks. Thank you so much for listening. We'll come back with another episode, and looking forward. If you have any suggestion, anything, just put it in the comments. We'll take that and try to implement it. Thank you so much.